Robert Davis in lane 10, your defending champion. He was not the leader yesterday. He is the leader today. Matt Swift in lane 11 won this age group in 2015. You'll notice there is no lane 1 or lane 2. This division has shrunk a little bit because of a couple of withdrawals. No lane 19 or 20 either. The two Italians, Silvino and Luzzi, have shown well for themselves. Here's Swift and Davis, though, and it's all about these two.
Oh, this battle has gone on back and forth all week. Matt Swift from Australia, CrossFit Brisbane, and Robbie Davis, the champ from last year. Matt, obviously the champ from 2015, also battling going on with those two for first and second spot on the podium. But keep in mind, Nathan Lauren, Komorowski, 3 and 4 up for grabs as well.
To the GHD sit-up. Glute Ham Developer GHD. What's terrible about it?
Well, I was going to say, it's not too often you get to sit down on an implement and do some fitness. But you're not really chilling out here. It is a fairly grueling movement, but making sure you get through strategic sets of your GHD sit-ups. You have got that med ball, or external object, as I like to call it, at the front of your body. So a little bit more taxing, especially on those legs. A number of athletes are really struggling with leg fatigue this weekend. And you might think that a sit-up might be just a pure core movement, but this is going to tax the quads as well. Fast transitions between the GHD and the sandbag, really important as you move it up the floor. So no time to waste. Make sure you get to work.
You'll see these athletes here rolling the ball in their hands. Carry it through the air for as little amount of time as possible, and then use your body as what we've called kind of like a bowling ball return here to give yourself a little brief break.
The battle I spoke about earlier, not just for 1 and 2, but Lauren and Komorowski, 10 points for that third spot. Brent Meyer, who was in third yesterday, he is still in contention to get onto that podium, but he has got some work to do.
150 pounds on the sandbag clean. What makes this difficult? Because it's a sandbag and it's kind of an amorphous object. Why is that hard to pick up and throw?
You just don't know where it's going to go. Balance barbell, great. Balance Atlas stone, like you see the strong men doing with that concrete stone. It's nice and balanced. The sand moves around a fair bit. There's not a lot of room to move in that bag, but it is still quite awkward to get over that shoulder. Robbie Davis struggling a little bit on his first set. So this could be telling for Robbie Davis. But that roll over the shoulder, that was a better one. He's getting a little bit more hip extension on the way up. Swift on the right doing a great job of that. Getting set with that sandbag between those feet. Pulling it in, lapping it, and wrapping those arms around. And Matt Swift choosing to go the one direction with his 5th and 6th med ball clean. But that last one from Swift, I'd like to see a little bit more hip extension just to make that sandbag roll over the shoulder just a little bit easier. And we saw it right there.
Jason Miller has had himself a good showing here at these games. An event victory on day 2. Enters in 11th place. This could be an event that plays into his wheelhouse. He is your current leader, and he's kind of a brute strength performer.
Miller in the Age Pavilion in PS, getting that win. Because of those movements suited him a lot more. That sandbag, those cleans, is going to suit him as well. So he just has to maintain, just having a look around. But yeah, strategic set. There's his first 10 done. So he's going to break them up in sets of 10. Really smart move from Miller. They do say you got to try and pick your battles. Do not try and pick a big battle with a GHD. You're going to come second.
It's bigger than you and it doesn't move.
And body weighs more than you too.
We did see an event with a GHD apparatus along with a sandbag at the 2015 games for Masters. Matt Swift came in second in that event. Different event, same tools. Just keep it in the back of your mind. 12-minute time cap as we close in on 4 minutes of work. Robbie Davis, your overall leader, by all of 4 points. That is the difference between an 18th place and a 20th place finish, which means no margin for error.
If you have a look to the right of screen, Matt Swift, as he starts to bring his body up, he will extend his legs and almost like snap his knees backwards on the way up. Having a quick breather, but the more extension you can get on those legs and snap those legs, the core can just engage a little bit quicker and a lot less taxing on those quads.
Miller now onto the sandbags again. Now the first time we get a look at him working with the sandbag, and you can see why he is your leader as well. Once he gets this up in the air, Jeremy, it looks like it's just an easy toss for him. Not a whole lot of work going into this for Jason Miller. Just a breezy up and over.
We spoke about some toys that the guys have played with this weekend. Some seem really light. Miller having can you say a little bit of fun with it?
I mean, it took him a little bit to get that one up, but once it was on his shoulder, flung it. He didn't move it, because that was the advancement every 5 into the next 5-foot box. He flung the sandbag down his lane. Robbie Davis copies him on the movement. Artur Komorowski out of Poland on the right, advancing off the GHD.
And Komorowski, pink and green, the center of screen. That even rhymed. He's got it all to do to try and climb into one of those top 3 spots, battling it out with Nathan Lauren. Now, Lauren had a fairly good day at the back end of yesterday with that event win. So he's trying to hold off a fast-finishing Komorowski here. But staying in touch with the 2 leaders, Davis and Swift, they adjust to his right as he moves back. And he's not too far behind Miller, but his GHDs have been exceptional.
Nathan Lauren is the only man in this building right now whose jersey they sell at the Reebok tent. He podiumed with CrossFit Fort Vancouver as a team earlier in his career. You can buy CrossFit Fort Vancouver replica jerseys at the Reebok tent. That's something no one can take away from him, and that's an experience that he has that not necessarily everybody else does. Right? When we look at the GHD here, evaluate the setting here, where the hips are, how you set yourself up, because that's important to how you exercise the movement.
It's going to depend on the length of your body. So you want to set those hips off the back. Now, what I'd like to see Nathan Lauren do, obviously he's into his 3rd and final set. Miller doing a great job of that, getting that hinge of that upper body over the top. I'd like to see him snap those knees a little bit more. They're a little bit bent. He's just going to add more fatigue to those quads as he comes up.
And you want this to be a core exercise too, not a back exercise, and that's where the positioning comes in also.
True. You'll notice with that ball as well, it's making the thoracic region, or the top part of your back, round out a little. Maya doing a great job in the background of keeping that chest nice and upright. So the more upright you can get, the less fatigue on that lower back.
7:22 into a 12-minute time cap event.
Miller's movement has been really good on the GHD, as has Nathan Lauren's, and really getting that bounce off the ground now with Lauren. 2 points of performance for the movement. Ball's got to touch the ground. It's got to touch the end of the GHD.
Nathan Lauren, Jason Miller back to the sandbag. Miller got there first, and he is 1 rep ahead. Miller came in, again, having a good weekend, but he's in 11th place. The difference between the 100 first place points and the 92nd place points is exceedingly more valuable to the man on the right of your screen. It's the difference between getting a shirt that says 3 on it and a medal and having motivation to come back and try it again next year.
And Lauren just getting a no rep. He's got to stay inside that box, the 5-foot box you see on the floor. It's marked out.
We've seen it a lot. It seems like it's almost just slipping the mind to check the feet for a lot of the athletes and a lot of the age groups before they pick the sandbag up.
Oh, without a doubt. And accuracy, one of the 10 general physical skills of CrossFit. So being accurate. Oh, step it on back.
To start behind the red line. That just cost him 10 points. Jason Miller.
That's crucial for Lauren. But what a great win for Miller. It's just funny how the brain starts to fatigue and you just forget what you're supposed to be doing.
I've got to imagine part of it, too, is there's a 150-pound sandbag that will go where it wants to go, and you don't want to have to move it back into the box. You just want to go pick it up, and guys just go pick it up. We've got two finishers right now. Lauren is being chased by Komorowski. Lauren is chasing Robbie Davis. It's a grab bag for points in our penultimate event at the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games. And Davis just looks taxed, but Davis also has a good reason, because he is finished. Robbie Davis in the clubhouse. Third place and 80 points.
Point spread you mentioned before, crucial now for the two guys left on screen in the middle. Komorowski in the pink, Swift in the blue. Title contention for Swift, and third place for Komorowski.
Swift came in 4 points back. The best he can finish now is in 5th place, which would get him 64 points and make Robbie Davis's lead 18 heading into the final event. That's the best he can do. Got to watch the rest of the field around him. Look at the way he's breathing too, the lungs gone.
But you remember about the swim yesterday where he's got the issue with that breathing patterns that he's got to get right. This is not going to be pleasant, having that sandbag right collapsed into those lungs. Brent Meyer, who's sitting in that 5th place position coming in today.
Swift does get across. That is 6th place for Swift. So the 56 points go to Swift. Davis picked up 80. The cap is 20 seconds away. There are a lot of guys that are going to struggle to finish this one out in the 45-49 bracket. And it makes the points all that more impressive for the 6 that have finished so far. 5 seconds remaining. And Bob Ruano does get in just ahead of the cap. 7 finishers. But Jason Miller was dean of them all. He did it in under 9 minutes.
Miller with that great win in PS at the 8th Pavilion a couple of days ago. But he was in the lead very early. It was the Swift-Davis combo on the first set of GHDs. Miller then plowing on in the second round and using that big frame to ensure that sandbag got over. Great hip extension from Miller. And there's that extension again. And then the last little bit of effort for Jason Miller, but he's very happy with his second event win.
And he's with Nikki.
Jason, you made that sandbag look like it was empty. I know it was full. What about that movement in particular makes it so easy for you?
I'm just a strength-based athlete. And my coach, Bryce Collier, just gave me a great game plan to kind of pace the GHDs and then attack the sandbag. And, I mean, Bryce is the man, so I just listened to what he said.
Yeah, well, it worked out for you. Looking forward to seeing the final event here.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Jason Miller, have a good day.
I like what he said. He's a strength-based athlete. Same here. I'll just sort of get rid of that cardio and let's just lift heavy stuff instead.
Jason Miller, event win number 2. Nathan Lauren, critical points, coming in 2nd place, trying to get himself on a podium.
But man, it's all important. Have a good day.
Yeah,
Everyone's having a great day here.
He's having a good one.
2 event wins from Miller. That's pretty good from him. I'll take 2 wins any day of the week at any competition, let alone the CrossFit Games. Swift, damage done. Can he make it up in the last event?
We still have more of the second to last event upcoming as we move down to the women's age group coming up next. Madison, Wisconsin, the Reebok CrossFit Games 2018. It's the final day of competition. The penultimate event, event 10 for the women's masters, ages 35 to 39. It's called the core couplet. Jeremy Austin, Joel Gadet, Nikki Brazier down on the floor. Jeremy, what is a core couplet?
Core couplet is the 10th test for these athletes over the weekend at the Age Pavilion. 3 rounds, 30 medball GHD sit-ups. The ladies will be using a 14-pound ball. 10 sandbag cleans. That sandbag about 100 pounds. They have got a 12-minute time cap. I was wondering the kilo conversion. It's about roughly 9 kilos for that med ball. And 100 pounds, it's just a little over 44 kilos. Quite awkward.
Lane assignments in lane 10. Anna Tobias is your leader. She stands in the middle of the floor. Look left, look right, up and down. She can see what's going on around her everywhere. Helena Falk, the Swede, immediately chasing her in lane 11, Sam Briggs. Came into the games trying to be the first individual champ to also be a Masters champ. Today she will just try to get herself on the podium. Let's talk about Briggs and Falk fighting in 2 and 3.
The battle for 2 and 3 is on. Briggs' last 5 events. 1-1, 1-2-1. Falk on the left hasn't yet won an event, but she's sitting in second. This battle is going to be epic.
Can you give Sam Briggs a new nickname? Just call her Binary Code.
Yeah. Wake up, Sam. It's time to go.
Anna Tobias, Olympic gold, has never won at the CrossFit Games overall. Myra Brent was a top 5 finisher a year ago. So much on the line in event number 10. It starts on the Glute Ham Developer Destroyer. Choose your word. It is a beast of an apparatus.
It is, and think about 3 sets of 30. That's pretty cruel. And this is the sort of stuff you can't do unbroken. Your core is going to fatigue way too much, regardless of how much you have practiced this. So strategic sets of GHDs are really important. A number of athletes we spoke to this morning, we're going to break them up in sets of 20 and 10. Just have that little bit of a break in between. I don't think Samantha Briggs is going to be one of those athletes. Fast transitions between the GHD and the sandbag, all important. You don't want to be wasting any seconds, because if there's any place to rest, it is with that med ball between your feet and sitting down on the GHD.
Hand in the air for Samantha Briggs and Anna Tobias. Tobias in commanding lead overall. Sam Briggs, though, way to turn on the light switch, and I love her matter-of-factness about it. Tough first day. Sam Briggs, 7th place, 13th, and 15th in the first 3 events. And her answer to every event win since then has been, listen, I need points. So, of course I'm going to go win. I need the points.
Spoken about picking your battles in each event. You know you're not going to do very well on one certain event. Save a little more in the tank and get after the ones you can get after. Sam with that great hip extension, keeping that sandbag nice and close to her body. And just that little lean back. So using gravity to her advantage really well. With that little bit of a flick with those wrists. That 100 pounds has gone over the shoulder.
Helena Falk on the right side of the screen. Jeremy, under the radar doesn't begin to describe it. Best event finish, 2nd place. She's done that twice. She's been top 5 7 times, so she hasn't won a darn thing. But that's where consistency comes into play. All you got to do is be around the conversation, and she's in 2nd place. Say hello to Helena Falk on Sunday.
Absolutely. It's funny we haven't mentioned too much about her, because she has been just slowly chipping away at that 2nd, 3rd place. And like her worst position has been 12th.
You know, it's a different approach, not that she planned it that way, than the way that the games went last year when she finished in 8th. She was top 4 all weekend, led day 3. The final 2 events, though, were disasters for her. She was 10 points out heading into the final event and winds up coming in 8th place and was happy to get back here and try to redeem herself. Her goal basically is not necessarily to come in first. She just wanted to come in and show she has what it takes. And she has accomplished that, and very nearly got herself a first, too.
And accomplishing these GHDs really well. If you look at her arm position, she's got that isometric contraction with that med ball close to her chest. And she's not changing that even though she's dropping down to the ground. That is going to put less fatigue on those biceps and those forearms. So really clever strategy from Helena Falk, and it's proving to be great masterstroke in keeping her in touch with leader Sam Briggs.
Falk is in 5th place overall in the event. And Tobias has joined Briggs, tossing around the sandbag here. Two women, no strangers to the CrossFit Games, but certainly strangers to the Masters division. They both make their debuts in this bracket this year. Briggs won the individual games in 2013. That was also Tobias's best year when she was 9th. 12-minute time cap. We're a quarter in. 3 rounds, 30 med ball GHD sit-ups. Sam Briggs is on to the 3rd round. 10 sandbag cleans also included. Sam Briggs just decides she wants points.
And then goes and gets them.
I would say it's like taking candy from a baby, but that's too easy.
I have to say at the moment, Sam looking a lot more comfortable than Anna Tobias. But you expect for these longer endurance stamina events, the engine from England, the machine that rolls on that is Samantha Briggs, this is right in her wheelhouse once again.
It's kind of been a constant, though, for Tobias. She always looks kind of all out. She looks like she's giving all of her effort. Remember, we go back to PS when she was on the ski erg, and we both made the comment, it looks like she's exhausting herself, and she came in second.
That's it. Sam doing a great job keeping that torso upright, less pressure on that lower back, and keeping that med ball low to her legs as it rolls down to that foot pedal.
The ball has to touch the mat behind your head, then the foot pedal. Then you advance onto these sandbag cleans. You must stay in your 5-foot square, but you can throw the bag in any which direction you'd like, or in any which direction it would like to go.
The last set of sandbag cleans for Anna Tobias were not looking great. She wasn't getting as much hip extension as I'd like. And that roll over the shoulder for Anna Tobias on the right of screen, it's starting to become a bit of a struggle. Sam with that really good jump off the shoulder and the flick of the wrist, just making sure it's out of there as quick as possible. Anna just having a little bit of trouble, but still, as you mentioned, she's still in 2nd place.
Watch the foot placement here. You can see Briggs adjust the bag a little bit to make sure she stays in the box. These athletes have to throw the bag over the shoulder. They cannot dip under it. Briggs, Tobias, foot race, Sam Briggs, another event win. That's 5 for Sam Briggs. Beat her by 2 seconds. Falk in the background on her last grouping of sandbag cleans. Kelly Holm in the front. Holm is in 4th place. This matters for her. Trying to run down Briggs. It'll be tough with Briggs getting the event win. But eyes on a podium. And Kelly Holm does her job.
Now Helena Falk is just starting to get a couple of no reps. Now that's going to be crucial in trying to keep her in contention for one of those top 3 spots.
Myra Brent had the issue with the rope and the yoke rope out at North Park. That is why her leg is still taped up. Had it taped up for the open water swim yesterday as well. She is on the right. Sarah Scholl was in the white on the left as Helena Falk crosses the finish line. You know, she's flown under the radar so much, we haven't gotten to tell my favorite nugget of these entire games.
Go.
There's a Swedish version of American Gladiators, the TV show. She's one of the gladiators. Her name is Sky. Myra Brandt finishing. Do you watch American Gladiators in Australia?
Can't say we do.
basically really strong
we
people.
had an Australian gladiators, but we only went for about 3 or 4 seasons.
They knock you off obstacle courses.
Yeah.
Her bio said she was superb in the melee. I don't know what that means, but it sounds really tough.
She's up for a fight, definitely. But she is fighting for her spot in one of those top 3 positions for the podium with one event left.
Briggs out there rooting on Kirsten Pedri. Both a couple of individual games athletes in the open division a year ago. Pedri, like Briggs, had a really tough day 1 here in her Masters debut, but has fought all the way back to be in 5th place, both after days 2 and 3. And just look at the wincing every time the bag gets thrown.
Just the awkward nature of the sand and the placement of the sand in the bag just makes it so much harder. You talk about repetitive movement and good, efficient movement. It's very hard to do with an odd object filled full of sand.
Kirsten Pedri done, and the women all finish under the 12-minute time cap. But Sam Briggs, take some photos, you got time, and you got 100 points to your name.
I'd be happy too with the number of first place finishes that Sam Briggs has got. Sam is all about business. This is her jam. So straight on to those GHDs with the med ball. But a great battle with Anna Tobias. But it came down to the efficiency of the sandbag cleans. Sam just a little bit quicker with that hip extension, a little bit more efficient with that pop-up over the shoulder. And it wasn't much between. There was only a couple of seconds. But Samantha Briggs, another event win. The engine from England rolls on.
She rolls down to Nikki Fraser, too.
So another 100 points, Sam. Yesterday you said you were able to get to the finish line just because you knew you needed those points. What's your mentality going into today?
With there only being 2 workouts left, sat in 3rd. First is kind of out of reach, but I'm gunning for that 2nd place. So 1 more event to fight. Let's see if I can try get another 100 points, and that'll definitely help my cause.
Well, congratulations on your first win today.
Thank you very much.
Sam Briggs doing Sam Briggs things. We'd expect no less from the English engine. First place, 100 points. Anna Tobias, 2nd place, though, so she staves off. Little stiff arm out there, keeps Briggs at bay.
Oh, just crazy. 1-1, 1-2, 1-1, Sam Briggs. Unbelievable. Imagine if she had a good start.
Yeah.
Anna, with that little bit of a lead, a little bit of a buffer coming into that last one. But Helena Falk coming down in 8th position. It's going to be interesting to see what the shakeout is with Kelly Holm in 4th position.
Take a timeout. Up to women's 40-44 for the core couplet next. the final day at the Reebok CrossFit Games 2018. Age group pavilion here at the Alliant Energy Center. For the Masters women age 40 to 44, event 10, it's the core couplet, the first of 2 events on this final day of competition. Jeremy Austin, Joel Gadet, Nikki Brazier down on the floor. Also on the floor are GHDs, sandbags, and med balls.
Yes, and a little bit of work to get through before we get to the end of event number 10. 3 rounds of 30 med ball GHD sit-ups with a 14-pound ball, about 9 kilos. 10 sandbag cleans at 100 pounds, which is about 44 kilos. And we've got 12 minutes to do it.
Lane assignments. Stephanie Roy is your leader in lane 10. 20 points up on Kelly Friel, the rookie. They traded places after day 3 of competition. Kelly Friel will be right next to Roy in lane 11. Erin Carter in lane 17 was your number 1 overall seed coming into these games, so don't sleep on her. We have seen a number of men and women come from the outside lanes to pick up event wins. Stephanie Roy, Kelly Friel.
Oh, the 2 girls battling it out. Had a quick chat to Kelly Friel this morning, and she's feeling really good. The high skill gymnastic stuff seems to bother her a fair bit, but this grunt work, get down, head down, and go for it, suits her a lot more. So this is going to be a great battle for that first place coming into our last event later on this afternoon. Blink and you'll miss it. Joey looking like she has nailed down that 3rd position, but she's still got some work to do.
Stephanie Roy overcame an 8-point deficit after day 2. Leads by 20 after day 3, and look at her go through the GHDs.
Nothing like a bit of speed to start off with. Strategic sets of GHDs are the key. Whether or not we saw in the previous age division Sam Briggs choosing to do all 3 sets unbroken. A couple of other competitors have chosen to do 20 and 10 just to break them up, give themselves a bit of a break, because 90 is absolutely no joke, especially with a med ball. And then fast transitions between that GHD and the sandbag progressing down the field of play. No point dawdling between them. Get into it.
Look at the spring Kelly Friel has. She is shooting up, and that foothold at the end of the GHD is like a bumper. Friel is off the GHD first. Jessica Martinez trying to catch Joey Kimden for the podium is right behind her, and there is Stephanie Roy.
You could almost say, Kelly, are you for real?
We'll be here all week, folks.
Sorry, my Australian humor.
Kelly Friel said coming into this she was the 5th seed out of the online qualifier, and she said, I just want to live up to that. I just want to finish 5th. I think she has proven her worth and then some. I think the goals have changed. There's always those mid-game adjustments.
She's going to be doing way better than 5th. And as she mentioned, this sort of stuff really suits her. She's just getting a no rep there because that foot was outside that little 5-foot box you see. The flip over into the next section. So there's the first 10 done. Now Kelly Friel, her first set of 30 GHDs were exceptional. The speed she's getting, look at those legs. She's snapping those legs and almost hyperextending those knees. That's going to put less pressure on those quads and engage that core a little bit quicker. The chest is up nice and tall. The bent knee from Stephanie Roy on the right-hand side, that's going to ensure those quads burn out a little bit more. Don't know if you notice on Stephanie's quads, you can actually see them contracting on the way down. They're relaxed at the top, but on the way down, those muscles, the VMO, vastus medialis oblique, you can see it really locking in on the way down.
Just above the knee on the left side of her leg. I had no idea you were so biologically inclined, by the way. Those are some big words.
But I only have triceps. I don't even have quads. I was only born with 3 muscles in there. So I know all about the 4 muscle groups in the quads anyway.
3 minutes gone by. 12-minute time cap.
Now, interesting technique for some athletes. Martinez here choosing to keep the ball away from her body and reaching it up to the position at the top where her feet are locked in. Some of the athletes choosing to roll that ball up their entire body and keep that external object, as I like to call it, just closer to that center of mass. Whatever works for you, go and get it.
Can some of it be grippy too? You just want to hold on to that ball as opposed to giving it the freedom to slip in your hands as you roll it?
Absolutely. You've got to work out what works best for you. Whether that is straight arm, that is bent arm, ball away from body, ball close to body. Whatever it is, Odell's doing a great job about it.
Kelly Friel, 20 points back, chasing Roy in lane 11. Got a couple of women's masters in second place out of the UK. Sam Briggs, 35-39. Kelly Friel, 40-44.
If you think about extension, Kelly Friel on the left just getting that great hip extension on the way up. Stephanie just struggling a little with that ball sandbag getting over that shoulder. This is going to be a great battle. Now, this is 1 and 2. And now Kelly Friel starting to roll that ball up a little bit.
The difference in a first place finish and a second place finish in this event is 10 points. Roy's lead is 20. So Friel will gain some ground if this holds as is, but she needs Roy to fall off pace a little bit more to set her up in better position heading into our final event 11, Complex Fran, this afternoon.
Stephanie on the right, now starting to struggle a little bit with those legs and having to use those legs to pull her up. If she can lock in and get those hips to work a little bit harder, that med ball is going to progress up to where her feet are a lot more efficiently. Kelly Friel left of screen doing a great job of that still. That snap of those legs, so important in the GHD movement.
Look at how much Roy is breathing, how heavily she's breathing. Anna Kaldish, hand in the air as she comes to a close on her GHD sit-ups. Kaldish is ahead of Friel now by a rep on the sandbag cleans. Kaldish, an incredibly powerful athlete. Legs of a swimmer, former Olympic hopeful.
Interesting now, if Friel can get over the line before Kaldish, she'll put some separation between her and Roy, which will make up that 20 points.
Yep.
And Roy now in third position and no one else within sight.
No rep on Friel on that last one, and she's struggling to get that extension. What starts to go when you're struggling to get the extension? Why is that happening?
You know what the name of event 10 is? The core couplet. Your core has just been annihilated. Not so much for Hannah Kaldish.
That's big. She gets 100 points. That's her second event win in her CrossFit Games career. Kelly Friel will get 90 for second place. Stephanie Roy still moving the bag. Roy's lead was 20 coming in. Laura Nielsen closing in.
Roy starting to really struggle with these last lot of cleans, and it is proving to be quite difficult with that lack of hip extension, getting that sandbag over the shoulder.
Laura Nielsen has just crossed the finish line in third place. Here comes Allie Crawford, McAdam as well. And now Stephanie Roy will throw up a fifth place finish and capture the 64 points that come with it. But Friel picked up 90.
What a shake-up.
We've got a showdown in Complex Fran this afternoon.
Love it when it's close.
This is Sema Burba you're looking at, carrying the bag across. Joey Kimden to her left has also just finished with an 8th place ranking. Came in trying to fight for a podium spot. We've got a shakeup. .824 left to work with. A 12-minute time cap. 3 rounds, 30 med ball GHD sit-ups, and now the 10 sandbag cleans. Allie Crawford. Melissa Wistrom is in the pink. Marina Novelli just finishing. This is the closest to the center of the floor that Wistrom has been all weekend. She'll carry that sandbag across. How about the Saturday that young woman has had?
It's funny, she's 115 pounds, and she's carrying a 100-pound sandbag and throwing it over her shoulder. She's pretty much throwing her body over her body. Absolutely exceptional yesterday performance from Wistrom.
A first, a 7th, and a 3rd. She went from 15th on day 1 to last on day 2 to 7th after day 3. Still on the GHD is Janet Black in the pink. A former Games champion back in 2015, Janet Black. And not the week she has wanted to have, as Erin Carter finishes up on her GHDs. Take a breather, tap that ball, and then have to extend it back to the toe hold at the end. First individual performance. She's been a team competitor, Erin Carter, at the games before. Went to regionals this past year. Talk about the changing of the guard in this sport, by the way. You've got Cruz on the left, Keplinger on the right. Erin Carter went to regionals at 40 years old, which is an impressive feat. She said at one point I had a 17-year-old on each side of me. She was in the Atlantic Regional. You know who one of those 17-year-olds was?
Let me guess.
Her name's Haley Adams. Cruz. Done in lane 1.
Well, something Games champ Helen Harding has had to deal with as well. She's been at regionals the last 2 years, battling it out with all these youngsters. And not here this year. Spending a little more time with the family.
60 seconds remaining.
Carter right, Keplinger left.
Erin Carter.
Carter got into CrossFit with her husband Luke, her high school sweetheart, Air Force veteran. And look at the group pushing Carter to the end. 30 seconds here for Erin Carter.
Erin Carter, less than 5 reps in 30 seconds.
Did CrossFit first as a hobby. Found out she's pretty dang good at it. Will hug that sandbag over the line. Everybody finishes in the Women's Masters 40-44.
Great to see all the ladies around. Give us some water, cuddle, whatever you need. A great start to our 40-44 women's event. It was a very quick lead for Kelly Friel, battling it out with Stephanie Roy, neck and neck. But the fast transition from Hannah Koldish, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Once Koldish got to that sandbag, it was quite easy for those last 10 reps. The carry, even easier for her to grab 100 points and the event win. And a little bit of an official stumble.
Hannah Koldish, you mentioned former Olympic swimmer, caliber athlete as well, also a professor of neuropathy. I mean, like, what have you done lately? We can't hold a candle up in the booth. Let's get out of Nikki with Anna.
Yeah, what a great way to set up your last day of competition here. What does 100 points on the final day mean for you?
It means a lot. I aggravated an injury yesterday, so I had a few events that held me back just because of the injury. So getting 100 points today is huge. The next one that's coming is going to be really, really tough for me. So I had to go all out. It was kind of like a suicide strategy to try and get as many points as I could on this first one.
Good job.
Thank you.
Second event win for Anna Kaldish. Also goes by Hannah Kaldish. Been a good week for her. Women's 45-49, event number 10, the core couplet. Welcome inside Alliant Energy Center and the Age Group Pavilion. 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games with Jeremy Austin and Nikki Brazier. Joel Godet, glad to have you with us. 3 rounds for time, Jeremy.
3 rounds, 30 medball GHD sit-ups with a 14-pound ball, 10 sandbag cleans at 100 pounds, and 12 minutes for the conversion. It's about 9 kilos for that medball, about 44 kilos for that sandbag.
In lane 10, Amanda Allen is your leader. Jolene Undershoot is in a lane 11. She has been toe-to-toe with Amanda Allen. Has actually been at the top of the leaderboard as much as anybody. Just had some fluctuation there that has put her into second place.
A great battle going on, not just at the top of the leaderboard with Undershoot and Allen, but also Tonya Osborne, 2 third-place finishes in the last couple of years. And Osborne are trying to battle it out with Undershoot for that second-place position. Only 22 points between the two of them.
Please stand by.
Underway as the athletes make their way to the glute ham developer. It's the one thing I feel like the consensus when you ask people what they want to or what they don't want to see. This wound up on the don't want to see list a lot.
And then you add a medball to it just to make it a little bit more uncomfortable. But getting through the 3 rounds of the 30 medball GHD sit-ups, really strategic sets, really important. This is your strength. You need to go unbroken. If it's not, really important to make sure you break up these sets. Number of athletes I have spoken to, you spoke to them as well, Joel, have said 2010 was at the key. Samantha Briggs a couple of heats ago going through really quick with sets of 30. But once you do get off that, it's really important to get those transitions between the GHD and the sandbag as quick as possible. You will progress the sandbag down the floor after each of the 10 reps. But no dawdling. Get back onto that GHD and get sorted as quick as possible.
Amanda Allen in first place has 3 event wins. So too does Undershoot in second place. But we mentioned the fluctuations. She was 12th on the battleground presented by the United States Marine Corps, and then 9th on the handstand walk to open. But Undershoot, look at the kinetic tape on her left shoulder. The amount of that. Actually had a bicycle accident about a week before the games. Did not know if she was going to be able to compete. So that withstanding, she's in second place with 3 event wins, one of which was throwing the most weight over your head from your shoulders. Now she's got to throw 100 pounds over her shoulder.
We talk about athlete size. Amanda Allen a lot taller than Jolene Undershoot. Now that's going to prove quite difficult on the GHD because that ball's got to be reaching the ground because it's all at the same level and reaching the toes. With the sandbag, Jolene's got some benefit here because the sandbag does not need to travel as far as Amanda Allen's. So it's sort of like a balance type situation where you've got one strength and one weakness. Undershoot doing so well, getting the hip extension up and that sandbag over.
This is like a 2-part movement here as well, Jeremy, is it not? You've got to pick it up and get it to your shoulder, and then once it's on your shoulder, you see the athletes with the hip thrust to complete the throw over the shoulder.
Almost pulling it into that lap before and starting to load the hamstrings a little bit more. We'll see that once they get to their next set of cleans. But Tonya Osborne choosing to get that bent elbow position with that med ball in nice and close to her torso. And just that release at the bottom to touch. There's your 2 points of performance. That black mat on the ground. And got to reach up and touch your toes. Athletes choosing to roll that ball, keeping it close to their center of mass. Alina Kulik doing a great job of that. I'd love to see her get her chest up a little bit more and that head position a lot more neutral. It's just buckling down a little. And those legs, really important to keep those legs nice and straight and snapping them. And with Jolene, she's keeping them bent the entire time. But we've seen over the last couple of events, in the last couple of days, that squatting strength and leg strength, that's her jam.
Almost a third of the way through this 12-minute time-capped event. And Alina Kulik is the first one back to the sandbag. Osborne just behind her. And then Nicole Abbott, your number 1 seed coming into the games, also getting to the sandbag again. Now the field starting to catch up a little bit, but a few reps in the pocket of Kulik.
Kulik doing a great job of that hip extension, keeping it nice and close. She's one of our Russian athletes from Novosibirsk. Google that one. Well, was part of the Siberian Bears team down at the Pacific Regional. Maybe she throws Siberian bears around for a living.
That seemed dangerous.
Struggling on that last rep.
Not the Cubs, obviously.
No, absolutely not. We're talking the full-grown ones.
Novosibirsk, her hometown, which Jeremy has pronounced again.
Novosibirsk.
Thank you.
Hopefully they're tuning in all the way over in Siberia.
Tanya Osborne rolling that ball up. The further that ball goes from your body, that is brutal on your shoulders.
Oh, we're talking head, shoulders, knees, and toes here. But keeping that med ball as close as you can to your torso and your center of mass, the easier it's going to be. Tanya doing a great job here of rolling the ball up her legs. You mentioned in the last call, almost like a bowling ball returning back to its master. And the fatigue starting to kick in. These athletes. Funny thing about undershoot, she doesn't show much expression on her face as she's going through every movement or every event. Saw her on the bike yesterday, looked like she was going for a stroll.
And yet the calories just kept ticking.
They did. And that leg power really important. Notice those legs are not even breaking. So the position of the lower and the upper leg in the one position the entire time, and using that for her strength and keeping that torso up really well at the top of the movement.
Undershoot's just a machine. Single mother to an 8-year-old, trains to compete at this level of CrossFit, and then on top of that is an affiliate owner and teaches 90% of the shifts at her gym as well. Sleep is optional. Although it's really a big part of being a well-conditioned CrossFit athlete.
And great for recovery, that sleep thing.
Bonkers. Undershoot.
In third position now. But is she going to leave her run late? Because these cleans, she's such a powerful athlete. She's getting a great stance on this sandbag, pulling it into that hip position, wrapping her arms around and extending those hips really well.
And a good wide stance for her, too.
It's perfect. Perfect for her stature.
Now, Undershoot came into this 98 points back of Amanda Allen. So if Undershoot can get herself a win, that's 100 points in her column. She will not catch the woman on the left of your screen, but boy, she could give herself a chance. Tanya Osborne, she will get the 100. Undershoot still going to work. It's event win number 2 for Osborne at these 2018 games. Allen several reps behind Undershoot, who now is just taking the side of the shoulder. That's close to an O rep.
That rep looked really fatigued.
She's got him done, though. And across with the sandbag, Undershoot is second, give her 90 points. How will she close the gap on Allen? Down 98 coming into the event. Well, there's a third place flop in lane 8 for Marcy Wells.
And using that sandbag to her advantage. It hasn't been great throwing it over your shoulder, but if it can propel you over the finish mat, get to it.
It's close enough to a beanbag chair.
Okay.
Atlanta Kulik now taking off, and noticeably Amanda Allen is still out on the floor. 6 spots accounted for. Allen to the clubhouse. Amanda Allen with a 7th place finish. That's 50 points. But the difference between 90 and 50 has just opened the door for undershoot in our final event.
I love tight races, especially when it comes down to a final event later on this afternoon.
The veteran Julie Ackerman finishing up, as does Watts in lane 3. 3 minutes left before we hit the time cap. Or pardon, that's Watts in lane 3 with the white shirt. Chris Torino was in lane 4 that finished next to her. And a no rep for Carrie Sandoval. Third straight year at these games, top 10 finishes each of the last 2 seasons. Maybe photographer to the stars, including CrossFit's own Greg Glassman. Now Watts is done. So if you need photos,
go and see Carrie. Here's to the right, one of the guys on our broadcast team, Chase Ingram. Cindy is from his affiliate, and she's been here quite a number of years. Actually caught up with her at the airport on the way home last year. We had a good chat about her training. Great to see her back here once again and doing very well with these sandbag cleans.
Back here once again, and back here for the final time as well. This is it for Cindy Pierce. Broke her toe in the bar fight event at last year's game. She dropped the barbell on her toe, and it was going to be her last games, but she said, no. I'm not going out like that. So she trained with Chase for another year down at CrossFit Big D, and dealing with some back issues, which means this is not a fun event for her right now, has decided this is it. So congratulations to Cindy Pierce on a fantastic CrossFit career. I'm sure she'll continue to train, just not at the competitive level. Cindy Pierce 16th to begin the day. Shannon Schleifer on the left of your screen. 30 seconds thereabouts until we hit the time cap. And Schleifer has to re-pick the bag up and get it to the finish line in 20 seconds. And Schleifer will finish. She came in 4th place, and what had been a fairy tale games for Shannon Schleifer as the last woman in.
Crunch, that's going to hurt.
Tough start to the final day as Patty Como falls in just under or just over the cap. Tanya Osborne, though, making a move from 3rd place in the standings.
Once we got going onto these GHD sit-ups, Tanya was just so smooth and controlled. The sandbags were the biggest part of the problem for this event, but a great pace, which I mentioned earlier in the call, was going to be the key to get this done quick. But keeping not the med ball, but also the sandbag close to your body, massive to getting the event win. And great job from the lady coming in 3rd position to steal an event win and make things a little bit more interesting coming up to our last event.
Tanya's down with Nikki.
That's right, Tanya. We were just saying that 100 points is exactly what you needed in order to shake up the leaderboard today. So moving into the final event now of competition, what else do you need to do to continue your climb?
Yeah, this is a good workout coming into the final event. The bar muscle-ups and all the pull-ups and the light thrusters. It should be a good workout and a good fight.
Right as we were standing here, someone came over and gave you a big hug. Tell me a little bit more about the camaraderie you have here on the competition floor with these women.
Yeah, well, this is the 5th year for me for the CrossFit Games, and a lot of us have been here many times, and these are a bunch of amazing women, bunch of friends, and we just love it. We're having fun and enjoying every moment.
Congrats on your win.
Yeah, thank you.
Tanya Osborne, a big event win. Jolene Undershoot, though, maybe even more important, a big second place with Amanda Allen down in 7th.
A little bit of a shake-up, like to see that. Want to make sure it's nice and interesting coming into the last event. But great work from both Osborne and Undershoot to come in. Nicole Abbott in 4th, coming in as the first place qualifier into the event. We are going to see more shake-ups in this last event because it is going to be electric.
We've got some dogfights in the 45 to 49 divisions on both sides. Much more to come from the Age Group Pavilion. Stick with us next.